Morning guys, today's Solvang day 2 with our friends. I think today's plan is we're gonna get breakfast at Belgian cafe, then I'm gonna fill up the truck, we'll go take a photo of the Solvang sign, and then after that maybe ostrich land, come back for lunch, and then Michelle wants to do the trolley tour, so we'll probably do that, and then after that, I don't know. I kind of want to do the nature museum here. It's supposed to be like a nature and art museum. After that, we'll see them too. But it should be a good day. So far, I think our friends are enjoying our trip. Yeah. We'll catch you at breakfast. Recording. Just in case. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Precious memories. Or precious moments. Yeah, memories. Precious memories.
Precious moments. I promise I'll watch the video.
No, it's okay. Precious memories. Or precious memories at Precious Memories US.
At Precious Memories US. Day 2.
I know. Thank you.
And something else for you guys? I think that's it.
Oh wow.
You're so cute. Wow.
It looks so fancy.
Okay, take a picture, babe.
I know, everyone take a photo of your food, right?
I'm done. The phone eats first.
Yeah.
I know, before you eat it all.
I'm gonna put this from that piece right here, okay?
Yeah. Especially when it looks pretty. Like I just came with the piping, like the
I know, it's
style.
kind of good. How's a more meal?
Really good.
So I think everyone likes it so far. We'll continue this later. We'll go store hopping, I think, after this and continue the plan.
Thank you.
I know, we have one that's not enclosed, and I said, no, bring number 2, because number 2 is warmer.
Well, number 2,
Yeah.
like a choice.
Yes, it is. Yay! Doesn't have a heater, but at least we don't have the rain falling on us.
That's true. That's what covers the hole.
I know, yeah. So where are you guys from?
San Diego area.
Okay, well, you're California.
Yeah.
Well, technically she's from the Philippines.
But you're with them, so you're from San Diego.
That's true.
Well, Cowboy, do you want to do this? Yeah, let's do it.
So.
I know.
Well, I'm Denise, that's Cowboy. I'm going to talk, he's going to drive. Kind of works out best that way, because you don't want me driving. Alrighty, so first of all, you know that you can get discounts with your trolley tickets over at the ice cream store. Thank you. I've never heard it. And there's other places you can get discounts as well, besides the ice cream store. And did you get the white pieces of paper? I know the gentleman back there, you got one.
Yeah.
So the white pieces of paper give you a rundown of the stores that will give you discounts, but I'll also point them out. Sorry, I got hiccups. I'll point them out to you. Again, the ice cream store, as well as other stores. And I also want to let you know your tickets don't expire.
Oh.
So, you know what? If you want to use the tickets tomorrow, it's cool. If you want to use them next year, go ahead. Just put them someplace safe. We always say, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Where is that someplace safe?
Where all my other stuff is.
Yeah. And it's always the last place you look for them, right? Alrighty, so this is 2nd Street. We're going to be going out to Copenhagen. Copenhagen is one of 2 streets that actually go east-west in our little town. The other one is going to be Mission Street. I just bought these gloves. Oh my gosh, they are so warm. They're a paca. Cross right over there. My gloves weren't keeping my hands warm, and I said, I can't stand this any longer.
I got some too.
Yay, warm hands. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to talk about is what looks like half timbers or wood on our buildings. Well, actually, most of it has been converted to concrete. And the reason why we use concrete versus wood, the weather here, during the summer it gets kind of hot. But maybe only for a week or 2. This summer it got to be 110 for about 5 days. Yes, that was just way too hot. And then during the winter, it does get into the 20s at night. So with that kind of weather, if it was real wood, it would rock. It would crack, it would need a lot of maintenance that people just don't want to do nowadays. So So that's why we use concrete. Although there are a few that still have wood available on the sides. Right there on that piece of paper, it said the Spice Merchant is going to be right through that little archway up the red brick road. They also have another entrance right there on the street. Now they have wonderful spices from around the world. If you like to bake, if you like to barbecue, or know somebody that does, check it out in there. They also have some really nice teas in there as well. Now I'm going to give you just a little tiny bit of history here. Back in the mid-1800s to the early 1900s, just about 300,000 people, they decided to come to the United States from Denmark, and when they actually got here, they went to the upper Midwest, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Michigan. Basically, they went to snow country. When they got there, yes, it was snowing, it happened to be winter, and they didn't want any more snow. They just left Denmark. What they wanted was land that they could farm year-round to provide for family. So what they did is they sent out 3 people to go looking for land. Those 3 people found this valley back in 1911. Bought the valley, just about 9,000 acres for $40 an acre, and found the town of Solvang, which means sunny fields, and that's where our farmers grow all their wonderful crops. So when people started to arrive here, they built their homes and their businesses with what they had available: wood, adobe, or brick. And it was actually a cowboy town until 48, 49. That's when a lot of the veterans came home from World War II. They had built, actually they had seen Denmark, and they wanted to rebuild our little downtown. It looked like Denmark. Again, it was once a cowboy town. So it took 20 years for them to rebuild the business district to what you see today. I always like to say it's my little Danish Disneyland. So you're going to see very steep roofs that we have here. Well, that's because, again, we're supposed to look like Denmark. Denmark has steep roofs because of their snow. If you don't have a steep roof in snow country, they can collapse the roof after time. We have all those wonderful steep roofs, but no snow. Only twice in the past 100 years have we had any kind of snow actually fall on the valley floor. Occasionally we'll get a little dusting on the mountains that surround us. Now we do fly the flag of Denmark. It's that red and white flag that you see right there on the Viking Inn. It's been flying over Denmark for over 800 years. It's actually the oldest flying flag over a nation in Europe. Now the street that we're going to be turning on is called Mission Street because it goes right past the mission Saint Inez. Now the mission is one of 21 missions that actually dot California. Our particular mission was built in 1804 and was actually the number 19 in missions that were built throughout California. Now the missions are actually set in a way that they'd be 1 to 2 days away from each other. People would ride their horses from mission to mission because first of all they knew there'd be a place to stay. They had the corrals for the horses, and they also had hot meals that were always available for travelers. I always like to let people know that our mission is actually a working church. They do have some wonderful murals inside if you want to go check that out. It's not too far from our little town, just actually about half a block away. So you can always check that out. They're open until about 4 o'clock to go look at the mission as well as the mission grounds, and they're just now starting to come back into bloom. You know, things do go dormant during the winter time. So I'm going to point out where the public restrooms are. There's a little one right here. It's the smallest one we have. And I like to point them out because a lot of buildings, they don't have public restrooms, so it's kind of nice to know where they are. So if you walked around, I'm sure you noticed that we do have a lot of bakeries. We love our pastries here in our little town. We actually have 7 bakeries, and they all do an amazing job of creating those pastries that we're famous for. But bakeries get up around 2:30 or 3 in the morning. They have to make sure everything is absolutely fresh for those who need to have that pastry to go along with their coffee or tea, so they have baker's hours. Up the street here, which is called Atterdag, 4 blocks up, is a Lutheran church. Well, the Danish were Lutheran. There's also our elementary school that sits there, and it's on the same site as the original elementary school that was built back in 1911. The second restroom, right next to the little park, is that yellow building with the red tile roof. Now, inside the park is going to be the statue of Hans Christian Andersen, and he wrote fairy tales. The Princess and the Pea, the Little Mermaid, as well as Frozen. And you're also going to see our little Christmas tree there. It's our living tree that we decorate every year. I'd like to let you know that Westway Magazine actually came out with an article and said that we are in the top 10 places to come visit for Christmas. It's because we decorate over the top. As you can see, a lot of our trees, they still have the lights on. In fact, we try to keep them up year-round and we turn them on. And then, again, we have the Christmas tree there. A lot of merchants put their little trees out in front of their stores. And then we do try to get a lot of the garland on all of our wonderful light posts here. Christmas parades, you name it, we do it for Christmas. It's fun. Just don't come Christmas Day or the week after. You can't even walk on the streets, it's so crowded. So right over here, you're going to see that beautiful clock tower with the 6 brass bells. It does ring every hour, on the hour and on the half. Now, has anyone been to the Universal Studios in LA? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the gentleman who helped create those windows and the lights there, he actually helped design the facade of that particular building, and he did the same at the Harry Potter ride. He had some influence in that. So we have a little bit of Harry Potter here in a Danish town in the middle of California. So this is First Street here. And we're going to go up to the corner. You're going to see the red shoe. The red shoe belongs to the shoe store. They've been bringing that shoe out every day since 1964. If you like really good sales, the shoe store has them. So check it out, ladies, if you like a good shoe store. Right there in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I pop in there every once in a while and see what they have. So over here is a thatched roof. Now, thatching are reeds that have been woven together. Now, that's the kind of roof you find in England, basically in the backcountry. It is an actual working thatched roof. And then across the street, well, that's Copenhagen House. And our founding fathers that have been carved out of wood right out front. Viking Museum information on amber as well as Legos right there. But I want you to look at the little houses on the side of that house. There's actually 32 of those houses throughout the town. Those are for the elves and fairies that live here. Now that's tradition. Basically, we give them places to live because we don't want them in our own home. All they do is, they take your glasses, they put them in the refrigerator, they take your car keys, hide them under the couch. And they're also the ones that take the socks out of the dryer. But we try to keep their mischievous ways to a low roar by giving them a little place to live. Now, we're just past the knife store, great place to go if you're looking for a one-of-a-kind knife or even really good kitchen knives. It's that yellow building. Now, right over here, you're going to see that spiral and the 4 dragons. I know they're puppy dogs, but they're dragons. They represent the 4 nations of the stock exchange. It is actually made out of brass. Very similar to one that sat in Copenhagen for many years. Unfortunately, the one in Copenhagen burnt down last year. They recasted it, rebuilding it, and they're saying that hopefully by Christmas they're going to have their statue up and ready for people to enjoy. Now, do you guys remember the Sears department store at all? Mm-hmm. Did you know you could buy houses from Sears?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, you can also buy a lot more.
Right there, little white house. Sears department store house. Mm-hmm. It was ordered and built in 1930 for a total cost of $300. Yeah. Upstairs are where all the bedrooms are. Unfortunately, they don't have plumbing upstairs, so restrooms downstairs. But it is one of about 1,000 Sears and Roebuck houses that are still being used today. Now we have another little special house. Right there in the corner is an adobe house. Adobe is the mud they got from the riverbank to make the bricks to make that house. But people who built it, you can see they sealed the bricks. If it's not sealed, it's mud, so it has a tendency to erode because of the rain and wind. Because they sealed it, it's with us today. That house is over 110 years old. And then if you look at the windowsill there, you can see how thick those bricks really are. So that house is very well insulated because of all those wonderful adobe bricks. Now this tree right in front of us is an oak tree. It's actually a red oak tree. They did core samples of it and it said that it's over 250 years old. It's thought to be one of the oldest ones we have in our little valley. And we're actually on Oak Street now. The hotel that's right in front of us is actually the Court Hotel. It's owned by the Indian Chumash Nation, and it's a really cool hotel. I like to say that because they have 2-bedroom suites, and they also have kitchenettes in a lot of their rooms, which is perfect for families or friends that like to come up here and visit. You have your own spot, and you have a little gathering place where the kitchenette is. So right over there, if you look over to the right, the mountain range you see there, it's called the San Rafael Mountain Range, and it separates us from Santa Barbara. But we're turning to the left onto the street called Alisal. This street has a lot of wonderful shops. It has some bakeries as well as restaurants on it. Now, I want you to look into the little courtyard beyond that yellow building. There's going to be a bench with dolphins on it. Those dolphins were carved with chainsaws. We have what we call Danish days here, and they came up and made that bench for us a couple of years ago, the dolphin bench. Post office, yes, we have our own post office with our very own zip code here. And the large windmill. Now the building behind the windmill that no one ever knows what it is, it's a 1/3 replica of an observatory. Original one built in 1642. Still an observatory today. Our little guy there, built in the 60s, is now Tower Pizza. Now, I always say that certain bakeries do certain things really well. Solvang Bakery makes really good breads, and my chance is right next to the Bin House, which has really good wine and cheese. You know, it's just a nice little...
Get on, Charlie.
No, that's, you gotta go to 2nd Street. That's where our station is. You can buy
Which
tickets.
street? Where?
2nd Street.
And Copenhagen. I mean, 2nd and Copenhagen.
A second in the Copenhagen.
Yes, just down the street.
Just go straight there? Okay. Second in the Copenhagen. Okay, thank you.
So anyway, they make really good bread. If you're looking for a restaurant that has some authentic entrees, you can always check out the Red Black Inn. They're going to give you a discount with your trolley ticket. Just about 4 doors down. The Brookcombe Bakery, that's the oldest bakery. Well, they make the best Danish pastries here in town. That's my favorite place to go. And you see the wall right there? That actually belongs to the Mission. It has little walkways you can go to the Mission grounds. The other restroom is right there. But if you don't want to walk to the Mission, if you want to see it, half a block down on Mission Street, it has the signage telling you where to turn, and plenty of parking right there in front of the Mission area.
Okay, my hands are nice and warm.
These really are amazing. It's like, oh my gosh. I had these gloves and I kept on saying, my hands are never warm in them, they're always cold, and he's going, go get some. Alrighty, so the little mermaid that sits right there, she's 1/2 size of the original one. The original one's really not big when you look at ours. Same foundry as the original Little Mermaid. Chomp right there, an amazing place if you're just looking for burgers and fries. That's what I always recommend if that's what you're looking for. Now we do have a museum right there with the information on Hans Christian Andersen. Now if you want to read the stories the way that he wrote them, not the way that Disney put them onto the silver screen, check out the museum because they do have his books that you can buy with the original stories. So we only have 3 franchises here. We have Domino's Pizza, we have Subway, and Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. Everything else is family owned and family operated. People are always asking, what's the wood on the roof? Well, that wood is called cross thatching, representing the Christian cross, something they might have done a century and a half to 2 centuries ago in Denmark. So it's basically blessing the building. Another feature on our roofs are the birds that you might see throughout the town. The wooden ones, at least. They're storks. If a stork landed on your roof in Denmark, you're going to have prosperity and abundance. Well, we don't have storks here. They don't come, they don't live here, so we have wooden ones that live here year-round. Plus, we also have a lot of weather vanes on a lot of the houses that have storks on, which is really quite nice. Real estate office is your stork. Now, we have a Christmas store here that's open year-round. Amazing Christmas ornaments, if that's something you want to check out. It's going to be the terracotta colored building. They do close promptly at 5, so don't wait too late in the afternoon to see the Christmas store. That's on your list to see. And we have the white windmill coming up. We actually have 5 windmills here. You've now actually seen 3 of them. 4th one about a mile to the east. Our 5th one sits on private property, the only one that was a working windmill at one time. Now, the bakery that's really famous for their cookies is Olson's Bakery. If you want a good butter cookie, that's where I go for cookies. They're actually going to give you a discount on certain items, so now that you know where to go for certain items here. We have a little art museum right there. If you look inside the tower, you're going to see Lulu. Lulu is a giant troll, and the gentleman who actually created her travels around the world making those trolls, and we're really lucky he came here and made us Lulu. It took about 3 days, and he sources most of the wood locally. She's going to be here for maybe hopefully 5 to 6 years, but that's Lulu. She's kind of sitting on her side with her leg up and her hand on her elbow, basically, her body on her elbow, and she's sticking her tongue out at you. So yes, we do have museums here. Again, we have the Viking Museum that's in the Copenhagen House. We actually have a motorcycle museum here. It's only open on the weekends, but he has over 200 vintage motorcycles that he keeps on display. That is going to be on the Alisal. And then we also have the Museum of Hans Christian Andersen, where you can find out more about that gentleman. We're now taking you to another museum. It's called the Everboy. The Everboy is a museum of Solvang, of history and art. It was once a private home, but the family decided that their house would be a beautiful museum, so they actually deeded the house to the city. And that's where our beautiful Everboy Museum is located, so that's where we're going to take you next. And even though we are a tourist town, you're going to find some of the stores closing around 5 o'clock. Everyone's will be open a little bit later than that. But the 5 o'clock is because in Denmark, people shut their doors so families could be coming together during the dinner hour, and that's why they do it here. Again, depends on the shop and the owners, whether or not they want to stay open later, but that's why some of them do close at pocket. Restaurants are always going to be open a lot later than that, as well as bars and wine tasting rooms. On our way to the Everboy, we're going to be turning on 2nd Street once again. We're going to go past our fire department, which is station number 30. We actually have 3 engines that are stationed there permanently. As you can see, they are white and blue. That's the 2nd County Department. And it's actually one of the busiest fire stations in this whole big valley. There are several fire departments here, or stations here. But they cover everything from the mountains to the Lake Kachuma to the freeway. So they're always doing something. And if they're not on a run, they're usually washing and waxing the engines. Our little houses around here. So the houses we just passed were built in the 50s with the 1-car garages. These were basically built in the 70s, 60s, 70s with the 2-car garages. You can kind of just say when they were built by the size of the garages actually, and really pieces of land too that are attached to a lot of them. So we're now turning on to Everboy Way. That guy is an amazing gardener with that little house there with the Irish flag line. Always out there trimming his roses, which is kind of fun to see. So this is our Everboy here. Now it's in the style of what a farmhouse would look like. Now, let me explain that. It would have been the barn, the people, and the barns. And if it was an actual farmhouse, the barn's a lot bigger. They always had the barns close to the house because they had bad weather. They had snow drifts sometimes. 10 to 15 feet high. Well, they didn't want to have to go through all that snow to get to the critters, so the barns are either attached to the houses or very close, which is really smart when you think about it. And then you can see that door there. It's a solid piece of red oak. On it are carvings of elves. Yes, we do love our elves here because Everboy means Elf Hill. Inside, when they made the museum, they did not take the house apart. It's how it was when the family lived there originally. So things are in the bedrooms, they're in the kitchen, they're in that great hall. It's an amazing little museum if you really like museums and history, which I happen to do. Now, it's open Thursday through Monday, 11 to 5, and today's going to be the last day. We believe it's going to be free to go inside. We believe in tomorrow they're going to start charging $5 per person. But that's our beautiful little Everboy Museum. Pretty cool, and they have a lot of history there, so also the people that work there really love history too. You can basically pick their brains about the little town here. I call this my fairy princess house. During the summer, you'll see people, grabbing a coffee and a pastry, and then go sit in that little gazebo out there, which is really quite nice as well. So the stores that are going to give you those discounts, once again, it's going to be the ice cream store. Even though it's cold, you can still get ice cream and hot beverages, as well as, the spice merchant with the wonderful spices and teas. They're really have good discounts for you as well. I think about 10%. Not quite sure, but that's what I was told at one time. Now, the two restaurants that are going to give you discounts are Red Viking with some authentic food on Copenhagen. Then we always have Chop with the burgers and fries, and that's right next to the Mermaid. And the two bakeries that are going to give you a discount, that's going to be the Brookholm Bakery, the oldest one with the wonderful pastries, and Olson's with the cookies. They're going to give you a discount on certain items, as well as a nice store that's next to where the dragons are. Now, the little building right there, that's City Hall. We only have a population of about 6,100 permanent residents. So, people don't realize that we're really a tiny little town. We're not that big whatsoever. The building coming up right over here on the right, the Solvang Festival Theater, where they have live Broadway shows without the Broadway price. Our shows start mid-spring, goes through summer, early fall. Well, it's an open-air theater, so we don't do anything during the possibility of rain months. 4 different productions, amazing troupe that they have always playing out of there. So if you ever want to come back up and see a wonderful play, and maybe enjoy our little town when it's a little bit sunnier. Right there, the green, well, that's where we have music in the park during the summer on the weekends. Just really good music there as well. I mean, everything that you can imagine they have playing. So we are coming to the end of this journey. Please stay safe. Please safe drive. Don't trip coming down out of the trolley because it could be a little bit slippery there. So wherever your final destination, please be safe, be careful, and I hope it brings you back to our little town here.